All right, let's talk about leases, those magical contracts that let you live somewhere without the crushing burden of home ownership. Essentially, a leasehold interest is like renting your buddy's slightly too small pants. You get to use them for a while, but they still belong to him. In real estate, the pants are a property and the buddy is the landlord or lessor. When you sign a lease, you're getting a leasehold estate, meaning you have a right to occupy the property for a specific period. This differs from owning the property outright, which would be a freehold estate. Leasehold interests are super common, from apartments to commercial spaces. They allow flexibility for tenants who might not want to commit to buying or who need temporary space. But before you sign on the dotted line and cram yourself into those metaphorical pants, you better understand what you're getting into. Don't forget the Fair Housing Act. Fair housing prohibits discrimination in the rental of housing based on certain protected characteristics, including race, color, religion, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, national origin, disability, familial status, such as having children under 18 or being pregnant. Now let's break down the essential elements of a lease agreement. A lease agreement is more than just a piece of paper. It's a legally binding contract with a bunch of fancy terms. First up, you've got the parties involved, the landlord, lessor, and the tenant, lessee. The lease will specify the property being leased, obviously, and the duration of the lease term. This could be a fixed period, like a year, or a periodic tenancy, which renews automatically until one party says enough is enough. One crucial term is rent, how much you're paying and when. The lease should outline late fees, because we've all been there, and grace periods, because sometimes life throws you a curveball. Finally, you'll find clauses about maintenance responsibilities, use restrictions, like whether you can run a nail salon out of your apartment, and termination rights. It's crucial to read and understand these terms before you sign because, well, you're stuck with them. Leases come in various flavors, much like those weird, artificially flavored sodas nobody actually enjoys. One common type is the gross lease, where you pay a flat rent and the landlord covers expenses like property taxes and insurance. Then there's the net lease, where you pay a base rent plus some or all of the property expenses. Another type is the percentage lease, often used for retail spaces. Here you pay base rent plus a percentage of your gross sales. Now let's talk about leasehold estates. An estate for years has a fixed duration, like a year-long lease. A periodic tenancy renews automatically until terminated by either party. Finally, an estate at sufferance is when a tenant overstays their welcome after the lease has expired. Section 4. Unpacking lease structures, gross net and percentage leases. Let's dive deeper into these lease structures, shall we? Gross leases are straightforward. You pay one lump sum and the landlord handles the rest. It's like an all-inclusive resort, but with a roof over your head. Net leases are more complex. They can be single, double or triple net, depending on tenant responsibilities. Percentage leases are common in retail, involving base rent plus a percentage of sales. Understanding these leases helps landlords and tenants make informed decisions. Section 5. Termination, discharge and remedies, ending the lease journey. As much as we'd love to live in a utopia where leases last forever, the reality is that leases can be terminated or discharged. The most common way is by expiration, meaning the lease term simply ends. But leases can also be terminated early for various reasons, like a breach of contract. For example, if you decide to turn your apartment into a pigeon sanctuary, your landlord might not be too thrilled. In case of a breach, both landlords and tenants have remedies available. Landlords might be able to evict tenants or claim damages. Tenants, on the other hand, can sue for breach of the landlord's obligations, like failing to maintain the property. Discharge of a lease can also occur through surrender, where both parties agree to end the lease early. It's like a conscious uncoupling, but for your living situation. Understanding the ins and outs of lease termination, discharge and remedies is essential for a smooth and hopefully drama-free rental experience.